Hello, Teachworthy. Today I will be going over my delivery plan with you. To start out, I wanted to go directly to my objective, which is basically once having the class participate in an open class discussion on culture and Latin American dishes. I wanted the students to actually create a slide or a graphic organizer using a technology resource. And I wanted them to describe two dishes covered during the class discussion. Students will research the Latin American country where the dishes originate from, and they will present their project to the class. As far as a hook, the opening, I will show a 2-minute video on different dishes from Latin American countries and how they are made. I wanted to pass out note paper so that students can actually take notes during the video and during the actual class discussion. And I want to ask students if they recognize some of the dishes or if they're familiar with some of those dishes from their own country. As well as my teacher input. Going back actually to the hook, the reason why I chose the hook is because I wanted to focus on mostly ELL, which is English language learners, new arrivals, or ESOL students. And I wanted to make sure that somehow I know that the language is lost because language is a barrier at this point, and I wanted them to be able to associate images with oral language. Moving on, I wanted to go into teacher input, which is basically providing students with a poster board that has an available resources that they can actually use to ensure that they're using reliable resources, as well as like which sites are okay to use and where to find further information for their research. Modeling, I wanted to actually use the Promethean board for this to model a sample Venn diagram, comparing and contrasting, so that they can apply that to the two dishes that they're selecting as well as the countries associated with that. As far as guided practice, I wanted to use a strategy of praise, prompt, and leave, which is what I'll be using as well for my assessing. I actually will go around the room and ask students which dish they're presenting and hand out the images to the dishes of the dishes. I wanted to ensure that students were actually collaborating and providing and modeling the type of expectations that I am having of them, as well as what they can do if needed. And then I'm going down into actually the assessment portion. I wanted to use the interview strategy, which is basically while I'm going out and modeling and providing teacher input, I wanted to also assess each group, their performance before, during, and after the actual project. The resources that I'll be using during this lesson would be cardstock, images of the different dishes, world map of Latin America, writing paper for notes, tablets for each group to use, like Poplet and Google Slides and PowerPoint, or any other resource that they could use using a tablet that would assist them in creating a Venn diagram or compare and contrast, that type of thing. As well as dry erasers and markers so that they can actually notate and use during their group discussion. And then I would check for understanding, basically going back and reteaching expectations, going over compare and contrast, kind of like modeling. And then also the independent practice is really important because it ties into the closure. The independent practice is basically students working in groups, and also they need to prepare an actual statement individually, in which they'll describe their involvement in the project as well as what they learned. And then going back to the actual, towards the end, toward the closure, I would like for them to use a pair share, same thing. And that way they can actually use their statement during their actual pair share opportunity in the end. I can have two students from each group move to another group and share what they've learned about the country, the dish, something they didn't know before the lesson and something they learned during the lesson. And the reason why I went with the closure, this particular closure activity, is because it ties into what I had them do as far as independent practice, and it provides also an opportunity for me to gain an exit ticket. So, and then also it gets them moving. It's right before the lesson ends. They get to collaborate and share the excitement of what their project is, what they did, what they didn't do, sharing with each other what they knew and what they didn't know. So I wanted to be able to give them the opportunity to do that in that closing activity. As far as the video prompt questions, what was the intent or purpose of using the hook? Well, I explained that, right? The hook was basically tailored around the fact that I'm assuming my students will be English language learners, and they could really use that association of images to oral language. How will I be monitoring my students? I will be doing a lot of assessing, a lot of participating, a lot of modeling, moving around and being active in the room, and and asking students questions, engaging their understanding. And then lastly, how will I know if my students have learned? I think I will definitely be able to tell that from all the assessing that I will be doing during class, as well as all the other my actual delivery plans. They involve a lot of communication and double checking and reteaching. So that's just to ensure that they've kind of gotten the idea of what the project is. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so very much for joining me in my chat in regards to my delivery plan. Have a good day.